Hello, Troy. Nice to see you again. After
Yeah,
your
good to see
very,
you too.
yeah. How was your journey? Because you went on the mission to try all the martial arts that you can around the world. I don't say I'm very envious of that, that you have a chance and opportunity to go from the country to country. And in because of that, we met in the UK. How was the trip?
Yeah,
Tell us about the project.
it was stressful and tiring, but extremely fun. Trying to do it on a time limit was yeah, extremely uh taxing, but now that it's finished, I look back and just it's so much fun and so glad I did it. I was actually just going through the list of all the things I'd done to make sure I remembered some of them when we spoke, and I was just like, wow, I can't believe I did that.
So which one was the most interesting for you personally?
uh, I've got two I really like to talk about. There's because my background was karate, but then predominantly Muay Thai. I lived in Thailand for 3.5 years just training in Muay Thai. And there used to be, well, still is, this big hate between Muay Thai and Taekwondo. You know,
Mhm.
for some reason, they hate each other. And I was no different. And we went to Korea. Well, we're going past Korea, and I thought, I can't not be in Korea and do Taekwondo. So I was like, I'm either going to really hate it or whatever. I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to have fun with it. And it was probably the funnest martial art that I did over the whole trip. I enjoyed it probably the most. I was very surprised by that, but it was a lot of fun.
Cool.
The second one that was probably the most memorable because of the cultural differences as well was probably Indian wrestling.
Ah.
Yeah, that was something I didn't expect. I went there to do, and I always get this wrong, Kalapawatu. It's
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's like a mix of karate and a mix of yoga and a mix of other things. But they said it's not yoga, but it's definitely got some in it. They said, "Oh, you should try Indian wrestling while you were here," and I was like, "What's that?" And when I went there, they said Indian wrestling is what they use in the Olympics. It actually all traveled from there. Whether
Mhm.
that's 100% true or not, I don't know. But we walked into this gym, and there was the big blue mat with the circle on it. All the guys in red and blue, you know, the leotards and that. And I was
Mhm.
just like, cool, I'm going to learn some proper wrestling, you know. And they're like, you're not in here today. You're in this. You're at the back here. So we go out the back, and there's the guy dragging the big piece of wood with a rope over his head to flatten out the mud and stuff. And they're like, have you ever wrestled before? And I said, never. I said, I can clinch okay, but never wrestling. Done a little bit of jiu-jitsu. And they're like, you're gonna fight today. And I was like, what? They're like, yeah, you'll be right. You've done lots of martial arts and stuff. And I said, I've never wrestled. I said, could you at least show me one or two moves? And they're like, no, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And this is coming off the back of me having like my big back injuries and my hip injuries and all this sort of stuff. So I was supposed to be taking it easy. And um, the first guy comes out and he's huge. They're like, this is the 96 kilo Olympic champion. And
Mhm.
he's just huge, absolutely massive. And he just mopped the floor with me for 2 rounds, just absolutely smashed me. And the first move, I thought I was just going to rush him and try and get him to stand up straight because, you know, they're sort of hunched over. And
Yeah.
then so I can at least try and get a clinch. And all he did was drop to one knee and flip me straight over his head. And then I was pretty knackered after that. Then they're like, oh, um, here's an 86 kilo Asian champion for you to wrestle. And he mopped the floor with me for 2 rounds. But what was cool is their coach would walk around with a massive stick.
Mhm.
And for 3 hours, they had to do either burpees or climb up arms only up a rope to the top of the tree and back down. If you weren't wrestling, you either had to do one of those two things or you got hit with this big cane that the trainer was walking around with. So that was probably the most memorable one.
Cool. How did you found reception of your kind of arrival and stuff? Did you had like every country was super welcoming? Did you had like arrange first, or did you just go and hello, I'm here. There's my wife with the camera. I'm gonna be filming now. Or did you try to pre-arrange it?
I tried to do it so because we were winging where we're actually going. I thought we'll go to the first country and see where we're going next, and try and find a gym a week in advance. In the Asian countries, that was easy as I just message a gym. They'd be like, "Yeah, sweet as, come down."
Mm.
But in the UK, I found that a little bit harder. And that's like thanks to you, I actually found some really good trainers there, and
Cool.
that was good. The only place that I felt a bit off put was we went to Hong Kong
Hmm.
and to do Wing Chun. And I messaged a couple of Wing Chun masters and stuff like that with some really good lineage. And some of them wanted 1,000 Australia
Ah.
for an hour lesson. And I was just like, wow. Luckily, I found this really good school, and they were Ip Man lineage.
Hmm.
But they were actually Aussies that had moved there and had been the training there for like 20 years. And yeah, they really looked after me.
Yeah. They
But
took they took the
I didn't get
pity.
that real.
They took the
Yeah, that's
pity on
right.
you.
Yeah, yeah. So they let me join in the class and gave me some personal training on the side. It was, yeah, they looked after me. Yeah.
You said that you had a background in karate. I'm guessing from your logos, it's Kyokushin, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
How
Yeah.
long did you
Yeah.
spend in
So
Kyokushin?
I did 2 years when I was really young, like 6 to 8. And then I left for a couple of years. Then I went back from like 10 to 12.
Mm-hmm.
But then I did a couple of different karates throughout the time. And then when I went to live in Thailand, I trained with Judd Reed for 6 months as
Mm.
well. So still keeping in that lineage. And, my background's Dutch, and I always liked mixing it up. So essentially what I say I sort of do is similar to like K1.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that Dutch kickboxing is famous all over the world, so
Yeah.
it's
And
like
the basis of that is actually Kyokushin.
yeah, yeah. Um, can you tell me about your mental health project? Because that's something that interests me, and I know that you guys are all trained mental health professionals, and so how the project works and what you do, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. So the business is called Complete Health Geelong. We're a mental health and disability service, and we happen to have a gym. Everybody thinks we're just a gym, but we're a mental health and disability service first. So we're a team of 20 support workers. We've got personal care assistants, mental health workers, alcohol and other drugs, um, teachers' aides, counselors, personal trainers, but everybody has lived experience. So, like myself, I'm an ex-bikie, and I suffered from nearly all the letters in the alphabet at one point or another. And a lot of the people that work for me too do as well. A lot of them are actually on the spectrum as well. Um, they've all had past lives, pretty colorful lives and that as well. So we all have been along our healing journey, and then at some point or another, just decided it's time to give back. So I started originally doing just abuse counseling, and I started working with couples and people that had been through abusive relationships. And then all of a sudden, people started saying to me, "Can you train my kids?"
Mhm.
And because what I was doing, I call it exercise psychotherapy. So I mix counseling and personal training together, but I do it with martial arts.
Mhm.
It's, I try and tell people if you go to a counseling session, it might take you 4 or 5 sessions to build up that really strong relationship. But you'll know for yourself when you've got someone on the pads,
Mhm.
within 10 minutes, you're their life coach, you're their, you know, just everything to them. They'll be asking you what they should do for their life, what job they should be looking at, what nutrition they should have, how they could try and get their goals. That connection is nearly instant when it comes down to being a coach. So
Mhm.
I mix the two. And there's another thing called DBT therapy where you can, let's say, for example, you have a really traumatic experience and you can't talk about it. So in DBT, they might do something like get you to hold a block of ice.
Mhm.
while you talk about it, so that you're focusing on the block of ice because it feels like it's actually burning your hand, even though it's not. But what's happening is if you picture a sharp knife and every time you use that knife, it gets blunter.
Mhm.
That's what's happened. That's what's happening every time you talk about the trauma, even if you're not fully focused on it. Every single time you talk about it, it dulls the pain of it till eventually you can talk about it in a relaxed body and you can process it and work your way through it. So I use the block as the block of ice. I'll use the martial arts or I'll use weights. So I'll be talking about something and I'll just segue into I know what we should be talking about. And then if they start struggling, we stop talking about it and then work really hard, like do something that they really have to cognitively think about or something that's really going to be taxing as like a circuit breaker that just snaps them out of whatever they're going through. And then the program just built on that. So then I started doing a men's mental health class. Then I started doing Muay Thai for mental health. Then it's just a safe place for people to come and talk. And then that built on what else can we do from there to help people? Well, people need to be engaged outside of the gym as well. So we started doing support groups. And now I just had a meeting today about taking some of our guys to actually volunteer somewhere else to help build up meaning and purpose. So it all comes around in this big circle. So you've got the counselling, which works on the hard trauma. They go work with a support worker. The support worker gets them out kicking ass in life, achieving goals,
Yeah.
getting out of their comfort zone. Once they've got that, the support worker takes them to the support groups until they're no longer needed and they can come to the support groups by themselves because they've built up confidence enough, they've made some friends. In the support groups, we always do a fun activity and then we will do a cooking class as well.
Mhm.
And then hopefully they get to a point where they're like, sorry, we don't need you anymore. We're doing pretty good in life. And thank you for all your help. See you later, which is the goal for everything.
Yeah, yeah, it is interesting. I've got the same. It's a bit hard to let people go when they feel better and they say, Thank you, I don't need you, I'm leaving the group." Awesome, but you know, we're gonna be missing you. It was nice to train with you. Troy, can I get a 5 minutes break because my shopping
Yeah.
arrived? Can I?
Yeah, sure. No
Can we?
worries.
Can we? Sorry about that.
No, no. Oh, you're
Really,
back.
really sorry about that. My wife forgot to tell me that her meeting was cancelled, so
Yeah, no, that's okay.
can't win. Yeah, so you've been saying
Yeah.
about the helping people and then they getting better and then moving on, and we've been saying that it is difficult to departure with people, but in the same way you are like super happy because you helped them, right? And
Yeah, that's the
how,
rewarding part.
yeah, how many clients do you get through the week?
So all up, we've got about 150 on our books, but some of them come and go. So we've got about, I think at the moment, about 75 active, like
Mhm.
every week. But that's not just out of the gym stuff. So that's doing all the support work and all that stuff. A lot of them actually don't come to the gym. So that's usually a different group of people, but the gym's pretty quiet. So we're trying to market that at the moment because that's my little passion. I love when people do actually come to those groups, that is where they do get the best results.
Hmm.
It's just getting people into them that we're finding to be the hardest part. We've still got so we started 4 years ago. We still have people like the original people that started actually
Mhm.
still in this program. So it's just getting them in that's the problem. So we've just released the mental health militia.
Mhm.
That's um, it's a non-for-profit and it's run by guys with pass. So that like myself, I used to be an ex-bikie and all this. So I try and say if somebody like me can talk about emotions, so can you.
Hmm.
So one day we decided to get on our bikes and say if anyone wants to come down on a bike, there'll be a qualified counsellor, be myself, and a couple of mental health workers. We're going to have a barbecue. So if anyone needs a chat, come down. 300 bikes later,
Wow.
we decided we better make this an annual thing. So we're coming up to our third year this year, and all the money raised from that actually goes to sponsor people to
Mhm.
come to our events in the gym that can't afford it. Because part of the big problem with mental health is somebody will wake up and they'll go, I want to change, I want the help. They'll go to somewhere and say, I want the help, and they'll say, okay, it costs this much.
Hmm.
And all of a sudden they're like, I don't have that. And then their people will say, well, cool, you have to go apply here, apply there, go see your GP. And then as soon as they walk out that door, you never see them again.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to do with the mental health militia is when somebody comes in, we say, okay, look, we'll give you a week free of any of our, well, all of our services. And if at the end of that, everything's going well, we'll talk about a sponsorship. So if they come to every session, they don't miss. If they, for example, one of the boys yesterday who was thinking about it, just we didn't ask him to do this. He was just like, oh, your bins are full. Can I empty your bins for you?
Mm.
So we're like, cool. So all we ask is anybody that does a sponsorship, they don't miss any classes. Um, they have to help around the gym. When we do a free barbecue for men's mental health every month, they have to come man the barbecues, but it's more about giving back to
Yeah.
make them feel a part of the group. So it's not that we're getting them to work for us for free. It creates
Mm.
a sense of meaning, purpose. They're giving back. They're connected in the community, and they feel a part of something bigger than themselves. And usually in life, if things are given for free,
Yeah. People don't
people
value
take
it.
advantage of that. Yeah, and don't
Mm.
value it. So this way, they get to feel like they're a part of the group. They get to help out. And we're finding that's actually really cool.
We're trying to do the same thing. So I will do the concessions and the free training as well for people. And actually now this month we're registering our own CIC, so community interest company, somewhere between a charity and a normal company. So that's
Yep.
why it's very interesting for me. How did you manage to how what was the process of registering a company and what support from the Australian government you get? I know it's completely different to the UK, but it's from some people I hear it's a very difficult. Other people say it's easy. How does that in your case, and what made you a success story?
Yeah. We get the same thing here where I've got a couple of friends with charities as well, and they swear they did it in a weekend. And we have tried. We cannot work it out. That's not where my forte is.
Mhm.
Um, I like being in the gym, working with the guys. So when it comes to that back end sort of stuff, I'm terrible. So luckily, so we had a really good accountant. So he did all the structure for us. And now that's in the hands of some new sponsors that have come on in the last couple of weeks that are really good at funding, that are really good at grant writing projects, that are really good at um, doing the actual registration process for us and all of that. So luckily, in the next few months, we'll be able to see a really good social media webpage and everything pop up, thanks to these guys, um, which is allowing me more time to do stuff like this and do stuff for Complete Health Geelong. Yeah, but
Cool.
it is. I find it very difficult, but others don't. So yeah, the first step was just going to the accountant and saying, can you do this for us? Because I don't have the know-how to do it. And then find, I always say, I've learned this just through my business in the last 4 years. If you can hire a professional to do it with the expertise to do it, hire them. Don't do it yourself.
Hmm.
Um, for some things anyway. For back, if you're a people person, generally, you're probably not going to be good at the other stuff. So hire
Yeah.
somebody to do the other stuff. Because I have tried to do that and I just burn out and I get
Mm.
stressed and I get frustrated. And then that takes my energy to do the other stuff.
Yeah, I was thinking about it as well, like, and I decided that yeah, I'm gonna pay for a consultancy to help me guide through the process because in the long run, it saves me my health, my mental health, and
Yep.
probably money in a long time as well. So yeah, I went for a mentorship, so hopefully it's starting next week,
Yep.
and we can do similar stuff, and it's nice. When I started in UK doing the karate for mental health, I didn't know anybody else doing it, and now it's yeah, I met you. I met Georgia from Australia as well. She's doing a trauma informed kickboxing, and it's just more people popping up doing stuff, and you can learn and exchange the knowledge. And for me, it's great to speak to people like you who've got more experience in that field that I can pick a little bit for me and learn as well. So how did you get into the side of healing and becoming a counselor and stuff? What drove driven you into it?
Pretty much, I thought like everyone does. I thought I was fine all my life until I found out that I wasn't.
Mhm.
So, I, nobody really ends up in a motorcycle club because they're super healthy. We're Peter Pan syndrome and all of this sort of stuff. So, but I didn't know that at the time. So I went through a series of abusive relationships, um, and then I did 5 discs in my back, and then I shattered my hip, and then I lost my brother all in the space of a couple of months, and
I'm
basically
sorry.
hit rock bottom. Didn't know who I was, where I was going. Um, just couldn't leave the house at the time. Just in a pretty bad headspace, and I was in the perfect place to do it. I was, my environment was just sex, drugs, and rock and roll at the time.
Hmm.
I wasn't working because of my injuries. So besides the club, I had nothing. So it was just all party until it wasn't, until I sort of realized that I can't keep repeating these same patterns. So luckily, work cover sent me to a cancer psychologist, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I thought I'm going to go in here and play the system and um, be off work forever and all this sort of stuff.
Hmm.
And within the first 15, 20 minutes of the session, I was bawling my eyes out like a little kid. And I just found the perfect psychologist for me. And I basically sometimes I went twice a week. It was always once a week for about 7 years, but sometimes twice a week. And it was just life changing. About halfway through, so after about 3 years of intense therapy, and I become a trauma nerd. So when you have a breakup, especially from like narcissistic abuse or something like that, you have this big void and it needs to be filled. I filled it with trauma. There's a saying that goes, all I wanted was a relationship, but now I've got a degree in psychology. That's pretty much how it worked. So I just studied trauma because I didn't want to end up in this position again. I was like, I'm done. This has been a repeating pattern all my life. I'm sick of it. I need to do something about it. So I was studying flat out. So for about 3 years solid, and then just home studied, just out of interest. And back then I was very manic, so I wasn't sleeping much. So I was there was some times there was like I remember there was about a 6 week block. I slept for 1 hour a night, and all I did was
Wow.
study. Just completely manic. And then after about 3.5 years, I decided to go and do some real qualifications. I'd done a lot of qualifications online, but no real legit registered ones.
Hmm.
So I went and got a traineeship in drug and alcohol. And then I did counseling, community services, mental health, disability, and then sort of meshed them all up with my own little package and did some trauma informed stuff and learnt all about adverse childhood experiences and complex trauma. And then I basically just want all that 3.5 years of pulling information from here from 50 different places. It was so hard to find what I needed. So I thought there's got to be other people out there like me and that are Ocker bogans, like Aussie bogans, the same as me,
Hmm.
that need everything spoken to them in a relatable way. So I just got clinical stuff and broke it down into an easy way that I could understand. And then I created this. So I've actually got a book. It's haven't been released yet. I'll send you a copy actually. I only finished it a couple of weeks ago. So
Awesome.
yeah, it's every single thing I've learned about trauma it's like a trauma 101 book. If you read this whole book, you will know everything you need to know about how everything works, to know why you do the things you do, and to how to overcome it. Yeah.
Cool. Looking forward to it.
So
I was actually talking yesterday with somebody who was. I've got lots of friends who tell me, "Oh, I'm thinking of writing a book." No, just write it. Everybody's
yeah,
carrying a book inside. So
yeah,
I'm really,
100%.
really, really happy that you actually done a book, and we need, especially on mental health. I think it's kind of I've done pretty much similar thing to you. So I studied, I done courses here for UK, which are sponsored by government. But when it comes up to it, all those courses are worth nothing
Mm,
because they give you a level 2 qualification, but you look at them, it's awareness of mental health. So they don't actually give you any real qualification to do anything with it. You're just aware of the problems, which
Yeah.
that's not what I wanted. I spent 6 weeks or a year doing stuff that gives me nothing.
Yep.
Uh, so yeah, I'm looking into doing some more qualification when the kid's gonna be a little bit older because at the moment I'm a full-time taxi driver from one club to the other club and I have no time for studying, but that's my plan. So it's nice to hear from other people that, even hitting the rock bottom, there is a chance to just go to school, go do stuff, sort yourself out, and be able to give back and to help other people, which you're doing. Uh, I was talking with one of the guys from the Joe Blooming team, so Kyokushin as well, and he asked me an interesting question, and I'm now imposing that question on everybody. So brace yourself. Um,
Okay.
if you have only couple words, what will be your core principles for a your dojo or your life? So for me, it's strong and caring. We've got that at home. That's the rules for my kids. You need to be strong in mind and body because then you can help others and you can be caring. What would be yours?
The first two that just immediately pop to mind is integrity and authenticity.
You're the second person who said that.
And that is the both of the two
Yeah.
same ones. Oh, I like to be original, damn
But
it.
explain, because people stay, we're using the very limited words, but the word meanings are different meanings for other people. So go on, explain.
Okay, so integrity. Integrity is who you are when nobody's looking. It's not giving the homeless person some money and taking a photo for Facebook.
Mm,
And to me, so the integrity doesn't just mean that you're a good person. It means that you don't need external validation. And if you
mm,
don't need external validation, there is a good chance you're going to be very grounded. You're not going to be swayed by any external things. You're probably going to have good boundaries, internal and external. Um, there's so much just with integrity because you can be your own person with integrity. You don't need to. You will never use anybody if you don't need external validation. If you don't need all these things, you can be your genuine self, which
mm,
brings me into authenticity. With authenticity, most people, the majority amount of people, I would say, don't live an authentic life.
mm,
Um, and that's a very sad thing. Just going through, and this is the abuse training background. A lot of people wear a mask. So if you always wear a mask, you can never connect. You hear people say, I'm lonely in a room full of people.
mm,
They're lonely because they wear a mask. If you wear a mask and try and pretend you're somebody else, you cannot authentically connect with anybody. If you cannot authentically connect with anybody, you can't connect with yourself. And
mm,
if you can't connect with yourself, you can't connect with a partner or anybody. So, and you're going to be insecure because you're obviously hiding insecurities with this mask. And if you're insecure, your relationships will never work. You're going to be jealous. You're going to push them away. Um, you're always going to need people instead of want people. And wants and needs are two totally different things. As
mm,
soon as you need something, you're going to have a bad time, especially a partner. Being able to just want somebody and choosing to be with somebody, that's that's where the love is. If you need somebody to make you happy, all of a sudden you're going to get into a relationship that's got extreme highs, extreme lows, idolization, devaluation, because nobody can live up to your expectations to make you happy all the time. So the second they don't make you happy, you're going to look at them as the devil. So it's the God and the devil relationship. It's all good, all bad, black and white thinking. It's cognitive dissonance. So if you can't be authentic and say what you mean, you are always going to be bubbling inside. You're always going to be ready to pop. You're always going to be second guessing yourself, and you just can't be yourself. And that's no way to live life. So I think them two combined pretty much sums up a healthy person.
I think nowadays I feel like I came from Poland before the era of internet and stuff, and I think in terms of uh, authenticity, it was easier than now for people, especially with the advent of Facebook and stuff. Everybody's putting that perfect life, and I often put things that I cocked up or didn't work out for me, and get so much comments like, "Wow, you're sharing all your negative stuff." Well, because I'm trying to show people that it's not all roses, right? If if I've got the perfect life on social media, I can guarantee that some of it is not so great for everybody,
Mm.
right? We all going up and down, and that's how you. The mental health for me is that the spectrum that where you're dealing, either you're over happy or over sad, and that happy medium is where your balanced mental health is. But if you got
Yeah.
only a sharing only a good stuff, you're making yourself disservice. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
been
I
kind
don't know
of.
if you saw while I was traveling the world doing all this cool martial arts and I was putting up photos of I was training with this person and that person. I also put up posts intentionally to say that I was stressed about stuff at home or, the business back at home or this was going on. Or I wanted people to know that just because my highlight reel looked awesome, I was
Mm,
I was doing some amazing stuff. It didn't mean we didn't get delays on planes. It didn't mean that the hotels didn't mess up. It didn't mean that things weren't going, right all the time. I mean, it was a pretty awesome trip, but it was also super stressful. And I think people get sucked into people's highlight reels. I mean, you can go to places. There was one place in Phuket. It's called a selfie gym. So you can go to
wow.
this place. They've actually got selfie rooms and stuff. So you can go like take a photo in a plane in a first like so it looks like you're in first class. You can rent this for an hour to get a photo shoot done. You can. It's just crazy the lengths people will go to portray that sort of life, and it's making other people feel bad.
Mm,
When it's not true, it's not genuine.
yeah.
Trying to sell an image, they're masking. They're carrying that mask, and people look at that, and it affects them negatively. So I'm always conscious about putting that stuff up, the negative stuff up as well, because it,
Mm.
it is. It's easy to just post the good stuff.
Yeah, and
Mm.
as well, it's skewering people's perception. And best example is the fitness industry. With you see the Instagram post of people with the perfect bodies, and 90% of time it is made by Photoshop or good lighting
Yeah,
and creams on you and suntan and stuff like that. So it's not that how you look like all the time,
yeah.
but young people aspire to that, and I think that's causing a lot of mental health as well, both in men and women, trying to live up to the image that is unrealistic and unachievable.
Yeah, 100%. Have you seen it? Everyone's like, oh, it's only women that really have like unrealistic bodies to go for with Barbie and stuff like that. I'm like, have you seen He-Man?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, body image is something I've definitely always struggled with, and especially after my injuries. So I went from being in Thailand training twice a day, eating 4,000 calories to not being able to use one of my legs for 12 months, like non-weight bearing. So, and 3 months of that I was spent in bed, but I still ate the same. So and like there was a couple of other reasons, but I ballooned out to like 163 kilos.
Wow.
And it's easy. It would be, no one's ever said anything, but I imagine that people look at me and go, how's this guy a personal trainer? How is
Mm,
this guy that? It doesn't matter that I'm under 120 now from 163. They
mm,
just see this big guy and like, how's this guy a personal trainer? But people don't understand that you don't know what's happened in someone else's life
mm.
that's made them like that. I've seen um, other big personal trainers online get absolutely bashed. And
Yeah.
there's one in particular I know about, and he actually had a back injury from powerlifting. Um, and he was fit as before it looked fit as powerlifters eat so many calories, and he just
Mm,
made the same mistake I did. But with depression, food becomes a coping skill, especially if you're not doing drugs anymore.
yeah.
So nobody. This is one thing I always say to everybody: nobody wants to be overweight. So if people are overweight, there's a reason for it, and
Mm,
it's usually because of poor coping skills or poor emotional regulation skills. And it's something that I've always had to work on, and something that I still do have to work on. Um, but getting down from that to that, especially with the life I've lived, it's validating for me. I don't need that external
Mhm.
voice anymore. Yeah, but it's definitely a big thing for kids these days. Like a massive the um the steroids use at the moment is
Yeah,
absolutely crazy. It's like everybody's doing it now. It's like if you're not doing it, there's something wrong with you.
yeah. I think it drives. I don't know. I can't remember his name, but there's a guy with long hair. He's massive. He's like 20-year-old, massive, and
Oh,
he
Sam
just wanna.
Sulek.
Yeah, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he just everybody wants to be like him, and easiest way to do it in that age. There's no fucking way he's natural.
Yeah, no, not at all.
I put my head on the stump to be chopped off for it. It's just like but going to coping mechanism, it might not be seem that I have issues like that, but I reach now I'm on a fourth day again to not having sugar because if I'm
Oh yeah.
stressed, for example, my kids piss me off, I go and eat a whole jar of Nutella, right? And then I feel really bad. I don't have a weight problem because my dad was skinny and I think my metabolism is like that. But sugar high, I've got inflammation. I feel tired after it. But that's kind of, instead of go and shout at them or hit them, I go and fucking Nutella. I suppose it's better way for them. So, but
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
we all have got some kind of coping mechanism for something, and it's easy to say, oh, just control it, right? I'm trying to quit sugar and chocolate. I think it's 7 years now. And I go like 9 weeks and then something happens and fuck it. I just, nah. But this time
It
will be
is.
different.
It is. It's so hard. Like people say, just eat less and move more. Well, yes, that
Yeah.
works, but there's a reason why somebody's not moving more or eating less. What
Mm,
are those reasons? Like that is true, but some people are depressed, so they don't even want to get out of bed. Some people only have been brought up that food means love, that food is a coping skill.
mm.
So it's unpacking all these limiting beliefs before somebody can make the change and actually start losing the weight. Mm.
Yeah. And I see as well, you said that you see personal trainers. When I become personal trainers 15 or 20 years ago, I've seen the same people commenting, but I see that more and more in karate. Oh, look at that fat guy, oh, this fat sensei walking around. But don't know his story.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you don't have to be perfect in what you're doing when you're coaching. It's like best example is football. How many footballers are football coaches? You need to
Mm.
have the skills to coach people and
Yeah.
explain. You don't need to be able to do splits and, lift 200 kilos to coach somebody. If you've got the
Yeah.
skills, even in boxing, you've got to Cus D'Amato produce Mike Tyson, and he wasn't a
Yeah.
great. So it is kind of sad to see how people jumping and try to put down people instead of elevate everybody.
100%. I've seen them videos online of people paying out, overweight karate guys
Mm,
and stuff. And then there's the odd couple that just start doing spin kicks and like, moving like they're capoeira kings and that. You're
mm,
like, that dude knows his stuff.
yeah.
People judge. People judge. And it's always, you'll never meet a hater doing better than yourself. All these people paying out on somebody trying to do something better for themselves
Mm,
aren't doing good themselves. No, hurt people. And that's a true thing. They're trying to pull other people down to make themselves feel better because they haven't gone out and achieved something, you know.
mm. Yeah, they're sitting in the basement on the computer.
Just see Mike Tyson put on a heap of weight.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
when he gave up exercise completely, and people were paying on him. I'm like, how can you pay out Mike Tyson after what he's done?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
People have got that expectation that, you're always gonna be that legend that you've been in
yeah,
20s, but that's not reality.
yeah, not at all.
You're gonna change, you're gonna be different versions of yourself, and you just have to do the best you can do at the time,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. It's funny now that I can actually get back in the gym and train a little bit now. I'm seeing the younger guys. I thought I still sort of felt relatively young until I started seeing the purple belts in the gym, in jiu-jitsu that are like 28 and competing until I
Mm.
saw them guys rolling and stuff. I thought I was young. Now that I've seen them, I'm like, yeah, my expectations of myself have lowered a bit.
100%, I'm going to BJJ as well, and the 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds coming and just smashing through you, especially that I'm small, so everyone's bigger than me. But seeing just as well how quickly they learn, I've got a few guys who starting the same time as me, but they are 20 years old, and their retention of information is so fast. It's just like,
Yeah.
hang on, 3 weeks ago I had been equal with you, and now you're fucking beating me crap out of me. Like, and I thought I was doing well. But yeah.
I was rolling with one of the black belts, and um he was like just had amazing top pressure, and I was starting to struggle to breathe and stuff like that. And anyway, he got up from showing me the move, and
Mm.
he's like, "See you do this," and he's like, "And you're a big strong guy, I'm sure you're rough and tough, and you'll just power through it." In my head, I'm thinking I was about to tap just from you showing me the move. And I ended up saying that to him. I was like, man, as soon as I'm uncomfortable these days, I tap
Mm.
out. I don't tough through
Yeah,
anything. And he goes, well, you know what? He goes, it takes 10,000 taps to get your black belt. He goes, get him out the way.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm doing the same. Tap quickly, tap early, be
Yep.
healthy. It's just not worth me. I used to always, power through, try to prove the point because I'm smaller, so I need to be stronger than everybody else. Now it's just no, tap 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 tap. I'm done. Thank you very much.
Yep.
I have no ego. I'm here to have fun and learn something maybe along the way, but I'm not anything to prove.
Yep. Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about your mental health, like your version of like Tai Chi, I guess it is.
Hmm.
That this is that just slowed down Carter's with breathing and stuff. That's something when I come back, I would like to learn off you and bring back here.
Hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it started. So I used to be a walking leader for Walking for Health, and there was few elderly there doing Tai Chi, and they said the prices went triple up. So they said, "Oh, can you do something like that?" I said, "Well, we can try." So I took all the kata that they like, and I slowed down. I tried to change some movements to be more like mimicking Tai Chi, but
Mm.
then I thought, nah, that's not authentic and it's not me. So it got back to the just the regular kata. But we're slowing them down, and I kind of softened the movement, so it's not so much karate-like. It's more balanced, like Tai Chi, so from the heel and stuff. Um, but the main difference is our approach. So we're doing like warm-ups or stretches, the mobilization of the joints. Then we go through the forms so people can pick them up. Obviously, most of my clients are 60 to 100 years old, so 10 years down the line, we're still on the two katas. But until they have a fun, it's great stuff. And then
Yep.
we're doing a 15 minutes of meditation. So we choose the kata, usually it's tensho, and everybody does it in their own speed, the natural breathing, and being in a happy place, whatever that means, right? And
Yep.
either they can try to not think about stuff or just let the thoughts come in, come out. But the
Yep.
main thing is to not criticize them. And
Yep.
they said they've been in Tai Chi, and the lady was saying, "Oh, you don't know your form yet. You need to pick up your pace and this." And I'm thinking, you're 70 years old. You had all the shit in your life. It's time to relax. You don't need that
Yep.
shit. So I don't
Yeah, that's
pay
it.
attention. Until you're moving, it's fine. And to be honest, I didn't realize how much impact that's gonna be having because the people who came with like post surgery or like doctor said I never gonna be able to move my arm in a full range. Now they're doing full range. I've got 80-year-olds doing full squats from just doing once a week
Yep.
exercising. um, they came as individuals. Now they're a group because the most important for them is tea and coffee after, not the exercise. Get that away and let's go for tea. But we've got a half an hour of chat and making a kind of preventing the loneliness and depression. Because in UK is that in summer every most of the classes shut down and
Mm.
people going with the families and they leave their parents behind. So there's nothing to do. So counterintuitive in summer I've got the most clients because they're coming into search for that community, being with somebody,
Yeah.
having a chat, having that coffee. And I see that, they came as individuals, and now there are a group of people who go and do winter markets, traveling in the coach trips. So it's amazing to see that, I quite often now with the coffee, I just sit in the corner, I step back completely, so I'm just the observer, and they all having, really good chats and gardening clubs and stuff like that. So they created the community, and I think that's the biggest result of that is. But in terms
Mm,
of kata, we just slow down the kata and trying to. I picked up the different kata, so in emphasizing like for tensho, mobilization of the joints, stability of the spine. We done that nai hanchi, so stepping on one leg, keeping that longer for a balance, so they can
mm,
work on the balance a little bit. Then we're doing like basai dai for spinning, so the orientation within the space and turning around and stuff like that. And they enjoying it.
mm.
My longest core group of 6 people is with me now 10 years, I think.
Oh, wow. That's phenomenal.
And they keep coming. They can't get rid of them. I said to them, every training I try to get rid of you, but you keep coming back.
Well, I read one of the books that you gave me, and it was really good. Like where
Hmm.
everybody was telling their stories of why
Oh
they were
yeah.
doing the martial arts. Now, with you, that was really cool. The format, the format was so interesting. I've never read a book like that before. That
Yeah,
was
it was
really
a
cool.
lot of an anxiety for me because when you try to be a author, you try to make things perfect. And this book was on purpose not perfect. So I didn't know how people gonna take and what's gonna be response. It's gonna be like, wow, you couldn't be bothered to correct the grammar. But as you know, working with people with mental health, they're not always clear in their communications. It's a lot of scrambled words, lots of repetition, losing the track. And I thought to be authentic and kind of have integrity and give that people a voice, it needs to be how they said it.
Yeah.
So far I've got a really good reviews from it, and people actually really, really like it. So I'm happy that I put my foot down because my wife is like a OCD grammar person. He's like, no, this is wrong. Just leave it. Please leave it. Leave it. Trust me, leave
Yeah.
it as this. So, yeah. So I'm
It's
looking
actually
forward.
given me a bit of inspiration for my next one.
Oh, cool. Glad to
Yeah.
hear. It's always nice to help people, even if you don't know that.
Yeah.
So, when your book's coming out? When it's gonna be available on Amazon's and all the stuff? Are you going for
Well,
Amazon or?
I'm not happy with it yet. It's I would actually like to, so it's 325 pages. It's a lot of diagrams and stuff, but I would actually like to streamline it a lot more. I would like to basically summarize what I've written and make it just a lot more digestible. It's written how I talk, but it's a lot. So
Mm.
um, I feel that I could condense it a little bit more. So I'll probably rewrite it another 10 times before I ever do release it. It's
That's
all
the
the
way it
knowledge
is.
I've picked up over 3 years, over, the last 10 years.
Mm.
So yeah,
Yeah, that's the process. You just look at it and then how can I make it better? I'm not happy with this. It's very tiring,
yeah,
but it's always worth it, right?
yeah.
Um, I don't have a talent for writing, so I keep saying to people it's not a Pulitzer, but it's you get what you see, right? If I go,
I don't know. I thought it was pretty professional myself.
oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I was talking yesterday with one of the guys from Kyokushin, and he said to me, "Oh no, you look super confident, but inside I'm like." What I'm doing here, why I'm here, how can I talk to people and try to be not stressed about it? But apparently I come across that I do things correctly. But that's again coming back to my own anxiety and fear of judgment and kind of low self-value. So I do those stuff,
Mm,
and the feedback like yours help to build me up block by block up, so I
yeah.
can be more confident person. Um,
When I was a kid, I used to not stutter, but I used to stumble my words a little bit. I was very self-conscious, very shy. Um, I never thought I was any sort of leader. I actually thought I was pretty stupid, to be honest. And it's only since I started doing my TikTok and stuff like that that I'm getting comments saying, "I love the way you explained that," and I'm like,
mm,
"Me? You like the way I explained it?" And it hasn't been until the last couple of years I've realized that I've got my own style.
mm,
And The problem is you watch somebody else talk online and you're like you might, because you do podcasts, you might watch Joe Rogan and go,
Mm,
geez, I wish I had his vocabulary. I wish I could talk like that. But you don't need to. You need your own style. If everybody was Joe Rogan, it'd all be boring,
mm.
you know?
Funny enough, I was the other day watching your video and I thought, fuck, I wish I could talk like that.
I've always wished I could talk like somebody else.
But it is that kind of self, well, we are the worst critics for our own. Every time I look on my videos, I think, fuck,
Yeah.
why do I do this? Why do I look like this? I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy with that. But the perception of self is so different than perception of other people of you, isn't
It
it?
is. I was nervous doing this. Like,
Mm, same.
and you know, this is fairly, it's fairly easy.
Mm,
Now that I'm here, it's cool. But like the five, and I know when we're traveling around doing all those martial arts, the day leading up to it, I'd say to my missus every day, why am I putting myself through this anxiety?
mm,
Like, because I've got an expectation of the non-crippled me doing martial arts in my 20s in Thailand, going to these places and training with all these guns, like all these absolute top of their game trainers. And I've got a vision in my head of how I used to be,
mm,
realizing that the doctor had said I'd never train again, I'd never walk properly again, I'd never lift over 2 kilos again. And then I had to keep reminding myself that you're never going to move like you used to, but
mm,
you got to be bloody happy with the fact that you can train now. Like it's taken a lot of work to get to here. And these guys, I always sort of self-deprecated at the start, like just letting you know I was injured, I was fairly injured, I'm
mm.
just getting back into it, you know what I mean? And by the end of it, I started getting my jam back, But
Cool.
that expectation that I went in with was what killed me. That gave me the
Mm,
anxiety because I wanted to. These in my head, I'm thinking these guys are thinking I'm a beast. I'm traveling around the world doing all these martial arts. They've got to be thinking, "Wow, this guy must be awesome." And then
mm,
so then I'm thinking they're going to get me on the pads and go, "Wow, he's slow. He's not flexible. He's what's this guy doing?" And
mm,
it wasn't until I got in there, started warming up, and started feeling the groove and that again, that all that went away. But it usually went away within 5 minutes. It
mm.
was just pushing through that day of absolute nervousness.
Actually, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very nervous today because tomorrow we're flying to, I'm teaching in Sweden. And every time I go
Ah.
teach to the new group, it's like, why they want me to teach? What can I offer? You know, why would they invite me to show my stuff? I don't know anything. But like you said, when you're in there, it dynamics changes you, and now you're doing stuff. It's nice and always nice people. I never had a seminar with like kind of horrible people. So
Yeah.
kind of building myself up to it. Tomorrow morning flight. It's gonna be good. I know the person who's invited me. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Just don't don't put yourself down. But it's
And
difficult.
it will be. It will be
Mm,
awesome. It's like when I looked up Tommy, who you introduced me to,
mhm,
I was like, I looked up his stuff. I was nervous. I was so nervous after watching him train.
mhm.
And then while we were training, I've never felt like such a beginner in my life. He
Yeah,
is
he's.
so good. I just I could have felt bad about that. I could have been like real self-conscious and stuff, but instead I was like, soak up this knowledge while I'm here.
Mm.
Like take everything I can from this man who's just absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, he's one of the best coaches I know. I met him by on one of the seminars, and I thought, well, a boxer, big guy, kind of looking grumpy. He's gonna be criticizing everybody, but he's such a genuine nice guy. And funny story with him, we done kind of on my last year or 2 years ago, karate for mental health. He came joining us. He was teaching, and then we done an exhibition fight. So we done
Mm.
boxing with him, right? And I'm thinking, oh yeah, we're gonna be boxing. That whack hit me like seeing stars. Okay, we're going. And then he comes. He said to me, "Oh, I knew you wouldn't appreciate if I go low light for you, you know. So I give you a good, good one. Thank you. You're 3 times heavier than I am. Thank you very much. I didn't want to
Even
upset
just
you.
even just training, he was like that. Like because like we're doing Barjitsu, and I'd
Mm.
never done that before. And he was showing me some bare knuckle stuff,
Hmm.
and we're doing this stuff like to the chin, and like I was just mock doing it, I wasn't really
Mm.
doing it. And he's like, I'm not made of glass. Just do it. But yeah, he's an absolute gentleman. And yeah, I'd never felt like such a beginner before. Yeah,
Oh, that's cool. I'm happy that I
yeah.
was able to help because I know how it is, maybe not for just traveling and training with people, but I know how difficult it is to find a good class. When I moved to UK, I spent a lot of time to find gym to train, the karate sessions to train, and eventually I end up doing my own.
Yeah.
Because there was nothing I could find. And then, through the connections, through other people, you find other people who introduce you to stuff. So now we're doing actually parts of Tommy's knife mitigation because it's the best
Oh yeah.
material I found. So we incorporated it in our training, and because here in UK is a plague of stabbings now,
I
especially for
couldn't
young
believe
people.
it.
For young people, so I decided, fuck it, I'm gonna have to learn it because my son is 7 now. Soon he's gonna be 13, and he needs to know what to do. So, but he started jujitsu last week, so
Yeah. I started
so
I did a Krav Maga instructor's course with Itai
mm,
Gil, and we did a lot of knife defense, and I've never once taught it.
mm,
I always said that if I teach it to somebody and they get this fake air of confidence and somebody attacks them with a knife and they're like, I
mm,
know Krav Maga, I can defend this, and they get stabbed, I don't want to give people that sense of security.
yeah,
So I just never taught it. And I thought it was never that big of a problem in Australia. And then when I went to England, you walk on the train and there's posters. Watch out for the knife fighting. It
yeah,
comes over the radio. Beware of knife violence. And I was just like, wow, you need to do knife training over here. And
mm.
you probably realistically probably do start to need it over here now as well.
Mm. Yeah, it's every day. It lasts 5 6 years. It's just going nuts. Tommy was doing. We had a couple months ago the session in last year. It went 50% up, and that's only
Yeah,
the
wow.
recorded one. That's only the
Yeah,
people who've been caught and reported to the police. So probably 90% up in stabbings. And that's what happens when you got the defunding police, and you don't have people to search for it, and people don't have a harsh punishment for it. So, and they've got a culture. They always loved knives. Knives. I don't know
yeah,
why in UK, but that's the reality.
yeah,
And I want to prepare my son. It's not kind of hands-on, but awareness. Look if they've got the fingers. You can see the fingers and stuff like that. Try to just prepare him. So stay away. First line of defense. You're doing so much sports. You don't have a time to go anywhere. So you'll
yeah.
not be there is the best defense.
Yeah,
But he's gonna be in the age that we're gonna go with his mates to the pubs and stuff. So just so he knows the awareness of it and talk himself out, and get away and don't be stopped. And some physical stuff as well if you have to. But
yeah,
it never ends up well for people who defend themselves with knives. We've done it in dojo and 100% deaths always.
yeah. Yeah. Since it's been funny too, since we left the UK, I've thought about you a lot because you pop up all the time, and the karate for mental health. And I'm thinking, I'm doing Muay Thai for mental health and that. And I was like, why didn't you call it martial arts for mental health? Then I could have called it martial arts for mental health, and we could have done like a you
Um,
know.
I've Yeah, yeah, I was thinking about this as well. I think somebody's took that name already. There's martial
Oh,
arts for mental
really?
health
Yeah.
in UK, but yeah, I don't see I don't see the problem between cooperation and I love karate, so that was kind of, and there was now but nothing happening here in that space, so I
Mm.
thought that was the logical stuff. But to be honest, I'm kind of toying with dropping that name.
Mm.
There's lots of people doing it. We've got lots of people kind of joining as a movement. But I see that people start kidnapping it, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
So
Um,
I was the first one where I live. I was the first gym to do mental health.
mm,
As soon as I did and it became successful, every
yeah.
single gym where I live now in Geelong copied my exact idea. There was a couple of guys that we were actually going to hire and train up.
Hmm.
As soon as I spoke to the in-between person, and they said, "Oh, how did you do it all and all that?" And I was like, "Oh, cool." They're really interested. They want to know. I told them exactly how I structure my classes, how I interweave the mindfulness and the gratefulness practices for, rough and tumble
Mm.
guys that if you said that to, they'd go, "I'm not doing that shit." But I've got a way that I mesh it in that everyone loves it at the end. And I told them exactly how I ran the classes, and they went and opened up like 2 weeks later their
Yeah.
own facility and stuff. And that's happening flat out. And they say, was it imitation is the greatest form of flattery.
Mm. I
However, some
heard.
people,
I
yeah,
heard.
but especially when people I know don't have the right qualifications and stuff, and they're saying that they do the same things I do, and
Mm.
all of that, because it makes me think you're going to hurt people. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Um, so part of that, I was thinking, especially because you guys are doing it over there too, we're doing it here. If we had like a governing body of
Mm.
martial arts for mental health, where um, like we had a counselor sort of training or even a life coaching, like, but a
Mm.
module that you had to complete for counseling, a module you had to complete, how to implement it in through martial arts. And then we made it like a governing body so people could join that. They'd
Mm.
be able to get the training stuff, and then they'd be able to say they're actually accredited to do the mental health for martial arts. They're not just I can't stand all these personal training life coaches,
Mm.
who still live at home and do coke on the weekends. Um, they've done a neuro linguistic programming weekend
Mm.
course, and they're trying to help people when really they're probably going to hurt people more than help. So
So I was thinking about it as well, but the problem with me is that I have no formal qualification, so I'm not using it as a therapy. I'm using
yeah,
it more as a support tool for the therapy, right? So people go
yeah,
for a therapy, they've got the protocols, but I'm using it as a exercise addition to it, right? So I don't try to
yeah,
help
yeah, yeah.
people. I have no knowledge about it. I'm just providing a
Well, your
support
book says
support group.
otherwise. Your books and that say otherwise.
Well, but I'm not giving advice to people, if that makes sense, right? I'm not
Yeah, yeah.
qualified to, oh, you've got this condition, you've got this condition. I'm just welcoming and, helping people. How to say it, right? It's not a therapy,
Yeah,
as in a legal sense of it. But yeah, I
yeah.
was thinking to do for a karate, based on the modules I done for the awareness, do like a awareness so they can more understand the mental health and what might come into their dojo, right? But yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, interesting concept. I would be
yeah.
up for it.
Because I do think it's neat because everybody's doing it now. Everybody's jumping on the bandwagon, and there's no
Mm,
regulation for it at all. And there
yeah.
probably should be. And like to say like no formal qualifications, that the first course, well, one of the first courses I did my first three with a guy on Udemy. It's
Mm,
he's from your neck of the woods actually.
mm,
He's called Kane Ramsey. He's on Udemy. His course costs about $15 each one.
mhm,
He does a life coach one, he does a counseling, and he does a mindfulness. If you do I did all three, and then I
mm.
went and did my real, government qualified counseling course. I nearly went to sleep every class. It was so boring. And all I did was watch his videos. They cost me $15 for the
Mm.
course. And I learned more in his online course for 40 hours
Oh,
than I did
cool,
in my government funded one.
cool.
you know yeah, it's unbelievable, his courses. And
Mm.
if you find the right ones, it doesn't need to be formal, but yeah,
Yeah, but it's just for a purpose as well of insurance here in UK,
yeah.
I try to stay away, and I it's leave it to professionals, my opinion, right? I
Well,
do
it's
provide
funny,
the training.
I got audited the first day I opened. I
All
didn't
right.
even have a client yet. Yeah. So
Mm,
my ex-partner, who was fairly abusive, our dream was to open up what I opened up.
mm.
And so somebody got a tip, the government got a tip saying I wasn't licensed to do what I was doing and all of this sort of stuff. And I sent all my information in. A week later, I got the letter saying, you're all good to go. You've passed all the tests and all that sort of stuff. but it does happen. Like
Mm,
people trying to pull you down into that bucket.
yeah.
They will do it. So yeah, you're doing the right thing. Like you gotta make sure you've got your boxes ticked because there's
Yeah.
always someone out to get you.
Funny enough, yesterday I had a message from somebody from Italy. Oh, send me all your materials. I wanna where should I start with karate for mental health? I said, well, I'm not actually understand what you want me to do, but my books are online. I said, oh, so you're not gonna give me anything for free? I said, no, I spent 30 years doing my craft and experiences and paying money for it. So no, you can buy the books. No, but I want your papers and stuff. I said, well, I think you misunderstand me because it's not therapy. Do you got a psychological degree? No, because I don't need to. I don't do therapy. Oh, okay, okay, crystal clear, and then fucked off. So yeah,
Just
I was actually
wants the quick business. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I actually done a video yesterday about it on YouTube that it is not therapy. It's a tool to help people, and you don't necessarily have to be having a mental health condition. It's just kind of well-being tool for keeping you in the right space.
Yeah,
Hitting
yeah,
pads helps a
100%.
lot, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
100% get you out of your head. It's grounding. So in like traditional therapy, you say it's like top down therapy, talking
Mhm.
therapy. But then when you're saying like bottom up therapy, or so, you're going through the body, like doing somatic therapy, that would be, doing it through martial
Mm,
arts and that. So it still is. And you're doing it exactly how you should be doing it.
mm.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Like I said, when kids gonna be a bit older, I'm gonna go into the. I was thinking actually what I want to do because I'm torn between a sports coaching
Mm.
and a
Yeah.
mental health stuff. So I see how I'm gonna feel them. Maybe I go to both.
Yep.
Who knows? Troy,
But
if you could give us all the where people can find you, promote yourself, and all the links and stuff.
yeah, so under Complete Health Geelong is probably the easiest one on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. And I post different stuff to my own page, which is Troy Koerntjes on Facebook as well. And I've just done a YouTube as well, but I'm not updating that as much because I'm still
Mm.
getting savvy using all this technology. It's still not my jam. Yeah, so usually TikTok for bikey stuff and like similar to the stuff I was talking about before, um, like dissecting some trauma sort of stuff. And then if you want to see what all my groups and all that are doing, yeah, down to Complete Out Geelong.
We're gonna put all the
And
links
the
in the.
motorbike stuff. Oh, but you've got a pretty big motorbike culture in the UK too, don't you?
I'm not in bikes at all. My wife is, but I'm not. My
So,
friend Martin is in the biking clubs, and yeah, there's
yep,
lots of bikers around.
yep. So that's the mental health militia. That's
Mm.
on TikTok, and we're more active on Facebook though as well.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna put all the links in the description below so you can have a look. But I highly recommend to look at Troy's stuff. Um, top stuff, better than mine. He speaks better than me, so
I don't
yeah,
think so.
and I'm looking forward to that book. I'm sure you need to write more of good things.
Well, I'll be really interested in your feedback. You'll be the second person I've sent it to.
Awesome, awesome. Happy to read it. All right,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
No worries. Thanks for having me.